Chapter 1. Elemental Realms of Intelligence, Remembering the Forgotten Architecture of Spirit. What if beneath the surface of modern life, under layers of distraction, doctrine, and digital noise, lies a quiet whisper from the past? A memory we've all carried, though most have long forgotten it. A sense that reality is more than flesh and physics, that we are part of something deeply alive, deeply spiritual. Ancient cultures knew this. They looked to the stars, the earth, and the rhythms of nature not only for survival but for meaning. And though their languages, gods, and symbols varied, the essence of their spiritual systems echoed with a shared frequency, an elemental one. Exploring the concepts of elemental realms of intelligence begins with a radical yet strangely familiar idea. The old cosmologies weren't superstitions. They were pieces of a vast, coherent system, one rooted in the sacred interplay of 5 elemental forces: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These aren't just material elements, but expressions of consciousness, bridges between soul and matter. This is a journey into exploring the dynamics and possibilities of that framework. So let's begin the daunting task of understanding reality a little better, or at least try to. What if our essence wasn't just spirit, but elemental? Imagine that every soul carries a dominant elemental code, shaping its perception, purpose, and path. You might feel a natural pull towards stability, transformation, or intuition, not as personality traits, but as expressions of a deeper elemental soul current. Let's meet the archetypes of elemental souls, remembering that none of us is just one element. We're mosaics, shaped by the alchemy of lifetimes. But one often leads the dance. Earth souls, grounded, nurturing, and steady, often drawn to caretaking, building, and bringing others into balance. Water souls, deep feelers, intuitive, and artistic. They move through life like rivers, sometimes still, sometimes turbulent, but always with emotional depth. Fire souls, catalysts. They burn with vision and drive, transforming everything they touch, warriors of will and passion. Air souls, thinkers and wanderers. Their minds are fast, their spirits light, often drawn to teaching, writing, or discovery. Ether souls, the mystics. Tied to memory and spirit, they are bridges between worlds, seers, dreamers, and shamans in disguise. In Gnostic tradition, there is a luminous myth about Sophia, the divine feminine who descends into matter, forgets who she is, and begins a long journey home. But what if this isn't just a myth? What if some souls live this story in real time? You may know someone like this, or be one yourself. A person whose life has been a tapestry of injustice, betrayal, deep empathy, and mystical awakening. These are Sophia-type souls, carriers of collective memory, often tasked, knowingly or not, with exposing hidden truths and restoring balance. Their presence is catalytic. They remember what others forget. Across the world's religions, when you peel away the dogma, there's a curious repetition. Baptism and lunar goddesses, sacred fire and resurrection, breath and word as divine force. The elements are everywhere. Why is that? Maybe because long before religion became an empire, it was mystery. Before the cross was a symbol of conquest, it was a key to transformation. Before theology, there was initiation. And when patriarchal systems rose to power, the teachings were split. The symbols remained, but the soul was forgotten. What if the journey of the soul wasn't just a wheel of karma, but a spiral of elemental refinement? In this view, reincarnation isn't random. It's ethical and energetic. A soul overly attached to dominance, fire, might return through a watery path, learning softness and receptivity. Another might shift from intellectual detachment, air, into earthy embodiment, gardening, parenting, building a real life. Traditions from Kabbalah to Hinduism and indigenous lineages all speak of this cyclical return. But through the elemental realm's lens, that return becomes a dance of balance, each lifetime, a step toward wholeness. Not only souls carry these codes. The earth herself is an elemental being, a vast intelligence encoded through sacred sites, ley lines, and energetic portals. Some places pulse with emotion, water, others with stillness, earth, fire, volcanoes, and solar temples, or air, high-altitude plateaus. Others still are pure spirit, etheric thresholds like Delphi or Mount Shasta. To walk these places is to awaken something ancient within, a cellular recognition, a soul memory. In recent years, modern mythologies like Avatar, The Last Airbender have reawakened public fascination with the elements. But what if this wasn't just entertainment? These stories mirror ancient spiritual systems. Bending becomes a metaphor for mastery, not just over nature, but over the self, firebending as breathwork, kundalini and solar focus, waterbending as healing arts, moon rituals and emotion work, earthbending as geomancy, permaculture and building, airbending as mantra, lucid dreaming and subtle awareness. We recognize these powers not because they are fiction, but because they are remembered. One of the great modern mysteries is how ancient civilizations built with such scale, precision, and cosmic awareness. What if the answer lies not in brute force, but in sound? Temples that sing, stones that hum, cymatic patterns hidden in granite. Spiritual traditions speak of a primordial vibration, the word, the Om, the Logos, as the source of creation. Perhaps sound was the original technology, and the ancients knew how to use it. Perhaps they felt reality before they built it. Every mythology remembers a golden age, a time of harmony between heaven and earth. And every mythology tells of its fall. The elemental realms theory frames this as a breakdown of spiritual balance, the rise of conquest over communion, suppression of feminine and intuitive knowledge, over-reliance on technology devoid of wisdom, and planetary trauma through floods, shifts, and disconnection. What remains now are echoes, broken temples, half-remembered rituals, a longing that never quite leaves us. Before religion became hierarchical, there were mystery schools, sanctuaries of learning where initiates studied elemental balance, alchemy, sacred geometry, and the mysteries of death and rebirth. Much of that knowledge was hidden, distorted, or burned, but some survived in symbols, dreams, and oral lineages passed through grandmothers, monks, and medicine keepers. Their message was and is clear. The wisdom still lives, waiting to be reclaimed. At the center of the spiritual imbalance lies a wound, the suppression of the divine feminine by a now distorted divine masculine. She once had many names: Isis, Hathor, Mary Magdalene, Inanna, and many forms. She ruled not by control, but by cycles, by dreams, blood, birth, intuition, and beauty. Across thousands of years and many lands, she wore different faces. Inanna, the erotic goddess of Sumer; Ishtar, fierce and fertile in Babylon; Hathor, the cosmic cow-mother of Egypt; Brigid, keeper of the sacred flame in Celtic lands; Aphrodite, radiant with beauty and desire. They were not separate. They were threads of the same archetypal soul, walking the earth in different eras, guiding humanity back to balance. Elemental theory does not ask for belief. It asks for remembrance. It suggests that you are more than your name, your story, or even your mind. You are elemental, a soul on a spiral of return, encoded with ancient wisdom, here not just to awaken, but to help rebalance a world that has lost its way.